How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we are going to be working on a Kia Forte. So this is a 2025, and we're going to be tinting the windows on this. So what we're going to do is at 15% on the rear half. The customer wants to stay legal in California, so we have an 80% for the front two doors, and then we're going to install, I don't know, maybe we'll do the whole windshield strip together. Anyway, let's see. We're gonna pop the panels and pull the sweeps. So we're just gonna roll the panels back, pull the sweeps out. All right, well, let's get moving. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started on this back window. Now, I've already used the dryer sheet on it, and a lot of times in my videos, I'll call it a bounce pad, but it's just a dryer sheet. So just the anti-static sheet that you throw in the dryer is one of those. So what we do is we mist the window down, wipe it down, to basically dry it off and clean the window on the outside, and then we remist it, and then we take the dryer sheet and wipe the dryer sheet on there, and it leaves this film, and that film helps the window tint not stick to it so that we can dry shrink this. And let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I use this sponge here and I just wet it down, and then I take this and go down the sides, and this will help with our H pattern so that the sides want to stay stuck down. I don't worry about the middle anymore. I used to wet down the center as well, but it doesn't seem really necessary. Okay. Now if you lay this, oh, that went way too far out. All right, if you lay this on here and get that corner lined up real good, and then you get this side lined up real good, you should be able to just let this roll out like that. And then you should be able to just heat shrink it or start laying it down right now without readjusting the other side. Okay, let me explain what I just did there. On the other side. Look at, see, I just get ahead of myself. I just start doing things. I don't even pay attention anymore. All right, so let's do our H pattern on this side together instead of me just doing it without talking about it. So we're gonna go ahead and lift the film up, and then we're gonna put the, I use a Bondo card out there in the middle. We're gonna drag it across. And the reason we're lifting the film up is to make sure that we don't crease the film out here while we're pulling it across. Sometimes you can get a finger, and if something gets a little stuck, you can run it over. So we pull that across. Now we're gonna go ahead and push the top and bottom down, and then we'll go ahead and mount it. And the reason I like to do that with my fingers first is because if you get a finger there, same thing is coming across here, you can run it over and crease it. All right, now we're gonna take the towel and just lightly run over this moisture that's on here so that begins to dry. We don't want to like push real hard or anything and start tacking things down or damage the film. You just go real gently. All right, let's get to heat shrinking. All right, so I've got my heat gun here, and we've got a gardening glove from Harbor Freight. All right, let's make sure this is turned all the way up, which it is. And we'll go ahead and start heat shrinking this. As you can see, this is laid down all nice and flat, and the fingers have gone this way instead of this way. And that means that that's ready to push out. And we don't push out any further down than we've shrunk. So you don't want to be pushing way down here. You don't want to pre-stick something down before it's ready. See, all the fingers start going this way, and we can push those out. And basically what I do when I'm shrinking this down is I like to shrink this down in quarters. So pretend like there's a line here and there's a line across the center. So I'm gonna shrink this part down, and then I'm gonna shrink this part down, and then I'm gonna go to the other side. And what I focus on mainly is going to be the tallest fingers, and I heat shrink and push those down. So these are the tallest now, and I kind of just run it all down pretty even. These are the tallest. You can see I'm like getting that one there. Now I'm gonna get this one here. And just work my way back and forth while I'm working my way down. And when you're new at this, you definitely want to keep that heat gun moving. You don't want to get too much heat in one spot because it's very easy to burn the film. And then it crinkles up, and then that's game over. So what you just saw me do there at the very end is what I call once this is all shrunk down, I go through and hopefully that showed up in camera. You see that just popped up and I shrunk it back down. And what I'm doing is just really zapping that edge, and I call it tightening up the edge. So if anything starts to pop up or, you know, wiggle up some air under there, I heat shrink that and push it down, and that'll really save you from having fingers on the inside coming up from the top and bottom. We want to get a really good heat shrink. It makes all the difference, so you're not fiddling around with that crap on the inside. All right, keep working our way up here. And once the fingers kind of start to go this way, you don't want to keep putting heat on them. You want to keep moving your way up. Let's see, I'll show you that on the other side. So this finger here, it's hard, you know, sometimes when you push this up and then tack it down, you can actually stretch it a little and add extra finger to the top, if that makes sense. And then what you end up with is some extra finger that needs to be just pushed out to the side, and then it just disappears. And that's because of the possibility that when we push this up with our hands, we turn the film just the slightest amount, which put some extra finger up here, which wasn't really necessary for shrinking. That happens a lot on these corners, so just know that. And if you're getting a lot of finger there, some of that might disappear as you get closer to the top. You push it out to the side and it goes away. Now if you push it out to the side and it creates a finger out here, then you got to get that bad boy back up there. Okay, let's get the rest of this shrunk down, and then we'll tighten up that edge. So as you can see, that's all laying down like really nice and flat. We'll push it out, and now we'll come through with the heat gun here, and we'll get in there and we'll zap it. Okay. Now, as you get better at this, and you can just start working this stuff down. Most of the time, I mean, I still run over it with my hand and push it down, but sometimes I screw around and I can really just do this whole heat shrinking process without ever even pushing the film down now. But I do feel like that it's a better install if you push out the fingers, and then the film can cool with the flat memory. If the film starts to cool down, I feel like let's say you do, let's do this. Now let's say I leave those guys there, and sometimes you'll get tighter ones, right? These are pretty big, but you'll get smaller ones that are much tighter, and if those cool down like this and they learn that memory, the problem with that is if they're really tight ones, they can actually then help create problems where if it goes over a defroster line, you can get peanuts and things like lines coming off the defroster line, and we don't want that. And so what I like to make sure is that right after I heat it, I push it down, and now when this film starts to cool, its memory will be nice and flat. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if that, I mean, it makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you. If you've ever dealt with peanuts before coming off the defroster line, you know what a nightmare they are. And we don't want those, because that is a ton of extra work we don't want to mess with. Because you have to heat them up from the outside and then push them down on the inside and try to get rid of all that air. Oh, it's a mess. All right, let's heat up this last part here. There we have it. And now we'll go ahead and tighten up this edge. And then also when you're doing this tightening up the edge, if the film starts to curl up at all, this part starts to flip up and you burn this edge, just get that heat gun away from there and fast, like super fast, and push that back down. You'll burn that edge, especially, you know, when you're coming in so close to the film and heating it up. So keep that in mind. Let's tighten up this one. I'm not sure if I did that because I was talking. All right, we'll grab our tools. Since we're over here with the heat gun already, this kind of just helps speed up the process, and we'll put these in here. And actually, we're gonna see if the seat folds down. So let's get this stuff out of here. I usually just take customer stuff and throw it on the front seat, and then they can deal with it later. Or, you know, put it down here. But so bringing over the tools didn't really work out today with us because we need to get these seats down. All right, so with all that stuff that was on the back seat, how much stuff you think's in the trunk? Let's see. Oh yeah, stuff. Golfer. Couple golf bags. What do you think? Is that friends? A friend's golf bag, or he has two? I don't golf, so I don't know why you would have two. Well, and I guess you know, I do ride quads and I do have two, so I guess I kind of get it. All right, so we just pull the tabs here. That'll allow those seats to fold down. Okay, now we can set our tools in here. And we're gonna take this here, bring it down around and over to the side, and that'll kind of help open up some area for us to be sitting in here and trying to get our feet in there. All right, let's get a mover's blanket in here so we can catch any moisture that might come down off the rear deck while we're tinting the rear window. I like to stick a towel in this so that I remember that we have the towel in there, or the mover's blanket, otherwise I'll leave that thing in there. It sucks getting old. All right, let's go ahead. And sometimes that's not even about getting old, right? You get real busy and it's like, I'm jamming. Forget stuff all the time. Let's get this moved over. And you want to be real gentle when you're moving this film around. You don't want to hear any crinkling or kinking of the film, because that makes little marks in it that could then show up during the install that you might have to push out. All right, now let's go ahead and weed this. Make sure you're always pulling away. And so how I do this is I actually grab this material here and I run my finger around while keeping tension on it here, like that. And that is a, you know, a really fast way of getting that weeded if your plotter cutter's cutting nicely. All right, and I normally do my reverse roll before I start cleaning the rear window. That way this is in the car with me. When I climb in, I don't have to climb back out. And if you're new to window tinting, yeah, you know, you might want to just leave this up here, do your cleaning on the back window. And I normally, when I'm teaching people how to tint back windows, I have them clean everything twice when you're new. So, you know, you could leave this up here and then come back to it and do this reverse roll after you get the window cleaned. I did that for years. That's you know, totally acceptable way of doing it as well. But this just allows me not to have to get back out. All right, so I pulled that liner back. We wet the film down, we re-put the liner on, did the same thing on this side, and then now I'm gonna put a mist right in here so the film will slide while I'm starting my reverse roll or California roll, whichever you call it. Maybe people even call it something different now. So I'm taking this film, rolling it, and then you can see I'm pushing the film back, which is making the roll really tight. And then we'll start rolling this up with some, you know, little pinches on the material here, making sure not to kink it or anything. It's just being very gentle. And so if I don't like the way that this roll is going, like I feel like this is going up or it's going crooked, like something like that, then I just take my finger and I roll it while I hold this one. Okay. See, so I just rolled that. You can see that top there. And this takes quite a while to get good at. All right, we'll just keep rolling this up. Sometimes you also have to push out the extra. Things will start bunching up, and pushing out the extra can be helpful. There we have it. Let's get inside. Okay, and then I take this roll here and I usually put it right in between the seat and the armrest if it'll hang out there, just like that. All right, so we'll try that camera angle today and see if that is helpful instead of being on my head. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and wet all this down and start cleaning this window. So we give it a good mist. We go ahead and take our scrubby pad here and we scrubby it up. So you want to get the whole window really good. We're just trying to break loose any dirt that's on here. Oh, I wish I could stick my legs in here further. Let's see, makes it a little bit easier if you can get way down in here. There we go. Okay, now let's give this another mist. Oop, now I got them all tangled up in the hose. Hang on, hang on. Oh, this is not comfortable. All right, we want to give this another mist now. We don't want that to start drying at all on the window because that just re-sticks itself then. All the dirt just re-sticks itself to the rear window. All right, we got our towel here and our squeegee. First pass is going to take this side down as far as I can get. Then we're going to hold it like this. I'm going to come across the top, making sure not to bump into that headliner. If you bump into that headliner, you can kick out little pieces of dirt or lint into the window, and that's going to show up in your install. Every time we remove or pull the squeegee off the window, it gets re-wiped down nice and clean. And then we're taking all these passes across. Now all these passes are going with the defroster lines. You know, and I had some people in some videos kind of complain that I don't cover the rear decks, and I could have thrown some towels over these speakers in this one. Would have been real easy to do. Although I would not cover the whole rear deck because just towel gets in your way. There's just no way to work with that. Okay, now when I get really down low, like on the window here, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this squeegee like this. And we're gonna bring this across all the way over. Now we'll go down even further, come back up, go back down. Now at that point where we're like kind of bumping into the rear deck, and so we'll do some stuff to make sure that if we splashed anything flicked up off of the rear deck onto the rear window, that we can make sure that's not there. So now I'm going to go ahead and take this tool here, the bulldozer, and we're going to squeegee this bottom down. Okay. We'll go one more time. All right, now we're squeegeed all the way down, but we were all over the rear deck with that tool, and that could really be a problem because it can kick a bunch of garbage up onto the window. I mean, I can already see a little piece of lint here that flicked up, a little hair off of here. And so the best way to handle this is to just pressure wash all this down. And that's why we've got the towel in there. To make sure and catch all this water that could come off of there. I mean, there's really no great way to get that clean without touching the rear deck. So that blowing everything down is super helpful. All right, let's get a mist on here. We'll grab our piece of tint and we'll start unrolling it. So California roll or reverse roll, you just roll this over, keep the liner on the film, let the film flap out like that, and now you've got adhesive side ready to go on the glass. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to get this part over pretty far. We're going to roll this behind the third brake light a little bit until we get to the other side. I'm going to reach down in here. I'm going to make sure that all the film is nice and flat on the glass on the bottom. Then we're going to push this down into place. Okay, and then we'll push this up. Be careful not to bump the headliner with it. And we'll finish unrolling this. Now this side over here is not all the way at the bottom, which is fine. That's almost impossible to get it all down correctly during that first part. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove the release liner. So I started in that bottom corner. Go ahead and pull this out of here now. Okay, we don't want that. Don't do that. Okay, when I pulled that liner out from this side, I held the film to make sure that it didn't curl over and run into the rear deck. Well, I gotta get moving now. I'm talking a lot and I'm screwing around. This is gonna start getting sticky on us. Okay, so it looks like I'm all the way down. You can push on the rear deck and see the bottom. I've got a light gap over here. That's good now. Okay, and we'll go ahead and push this all the way up, which it seems tall. That's interesting. Just bumping into the headliner a little way up there. So we'll push it down a little bit further. Okay, we're bumping into the side here, and we're bumping into the side here. So let's get that down. I just hit that with my fingers, and that was able to then push down. Got a light gap right here. Go over. Okay, that's what it was really. I mean, it's still, I'm just taking my fingernail and I'm pushing on that edge and it's tucking behind that a little bit. Okay, now let's go ahead and get a mist on here. And we're gonna go ahead and get our Blue Max. And first though, we're gonna push out these bigger air pockets. This makes the Blue Maxing this and pushing this out a lot easier. I know I'm doing a lot of talking, and normally I'm done with this window already. It doesn't take this long at all. I think I usually am on a back window for maybe with the heat shrinking process is anywhere around, it's right around 20 minutes. Could be a little bit less, could be a little bit longer. So we're gonna go ahead and we're pushing this out now, and we're not being super aggressive with the Blue Max on this squeegee because we're going to do a second pass, which will get rid of all of that excess water. This we're just trying to get rid of a bunch of the water and the air pockets that are in there. All right, and now we need to get down the stuff on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and get down behind the third brake light first. We'll work our way all the way over there. Got a finger there, which means it needs to go to the bottom. It means when I went over and up, it kind of turned the film up and made a finger. Okay, all the way down to the bottom there. Okay, there we have it. Let's get another mist on this, and now we're going to use all the pressure we can muster. I like to start right in the middle. Again, we're going with the defroster lines. Now you can see that I've got the squeegee tilted like this when we're going up. And that's to make sure that if any excess water tries to roll off of the squeegee, it comes off this edge instead of this one, because we don't want to be leaving things behind. All right, and then when we're going down, we turn the squeegee the opposite direction, and then we get to the very end there at the panel, we turn it back flat or straight. All the way over and down. Okay, do the same thing here. Now we'll go ahead and take care of this bottom again, and I'm going to put some extra pressure on here. So I'm going to push up in the middle of this tool just to get a ton of pressure behind there. We want to get all that water out, and so basically each time I go over this, I'm going down maybe another inch. I'm not trying to take all that down at one time. Okay, we got that finger back again. I know that's supposed to be at the bottom, so let's see how that works now. Okay, push that side down again. Another thing I like to do is with this side swiper, if it'll fit in there, is get this side swiper on that bottom edge. Nothing gets as good a pressure as the side swiper on that edge. Okay, and then we'll take this up the sides like this, just to get that edge good and dried out. Okay, up the sides. Just be careful when you're taking this stuff up the sides. You're keeping a good angle on that. If you get ahead of yourself like this or straight, it's a possibility you're gonna create a finger and run over it and crease it, and then you're starting over. All right, now would be a good time, if you're new, to go out and inspect behind the third brake light. I'm pretty certain I got it. You know, that way you know if you've got any debris in there, or if you left any air or water pockets that you can't see from the inside. Okay, we're cleaning all the excess moisture up now. Okay, then let's clean up this side here. Oh, see how it's leaving, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's leaving streaks. And I'm trying to find a dry spot on this towel, which there is no really good dry spot. So let's try wiping this down one more time. It's leaving streaks. When it leaves streaks like that, it's going to leave dirty streaks in the window. So that's going to end up needing to be re-wiped down again with a cleaner towel that isn't so wet. Okay, I can see a little bit of water that was right here on the edge, so I'm just pushing that down one last time. And there we have it. Let's go inspect it on the outside, see how we did. So we're looking for dirt or contamination on the edges, as well as anything. Well, basically you're looking to inspect the whole window. That looks fantastic back there. Blowing that water down really helps. Okay, just kind of inspecting. Come up the edges, because you know, you can get dirt on the edges. Look at the top. We didn't hit the headliner, so it's nice and clean up there. All right, moving on. Now would be the time to touch anything up if you needed to touch something up on the back window. You don't want to leave it sitting, especially if it's an air pocket or something, because it's just going to get stuck in there and you're not going to be able to get it out later. All right, let's go ahead and tint this little quarter window. Go ahead and put a mist on there. Scrubby pad this. I normally just stand on the outside of the car and tint these. I do look inside to make sure there's no light gaps when I get the film in there, but works pretty good to stand out here. And I've got a smaller squeegee that I use for these little windows. Let's go ahead and look in here now. Just check in on this plastic. Make sure it's plastic all the way around, because if it's any type of a felt or anything on, like the headliner sometimes comes down to here on some of these cars, and you don't want to be bumping into that and, you know, spreading dirt into your clean window. So we just check that out. All right, so we're nice and clean there. I'm going to take an edge of this and I'm gonna wipe in the dots, get that good and clean. And now let's get a mist on here. Don't get too crazy with the mist. because we do not want to get a bunch of water in here up on the top and have it run down, grab some dirt and run down, because we didn't get up above the panel at all, or even really right at the panel. All right, let's figure out which one of these is ours. It's this one. I always cut out extras too. If there's room, I cut out extras just in case something goes wrong. You don't have to load everything back up into the plotter again. I'm gonna put this in my hand like this. And we'll look in here, start setting that into place. Okay, just kind of moving it around, getting it nice and flat on the glass there. Let's go ahead and get inside. We need to check for light gaps, and we're looking really good. Now let's get a little mist on the film so our squeegee will glide across it nicely. And I'm gonna hold the film down back here in the corner. So I've got my finger pushing down on the film, on the glass off of the film, as well as pushing on this plastic here to hold everything in place. Then we're gonna go, oh, it moved. Okay, we're gonna go across the lettering here. That'll make that piece really want to stick and stay down. Now we can squeegee away from that lettering. All right, this squeegee just happens to be red. I don't know why. I think a previous employee left this here. It's really hard. This rubber that's made out of is really it's not very malleable, but I usually just work with the yellow turbo squeegees. All right, give this a second pass. Make sure we got everything down. All right, now we'll go ahead and dry all this plastic off. Try that window. All right. Nailed it. Just inspecting it for any little dots or contamination. We could touch those up and everything looks good. All right, so let's go ahead and pop these panels or roll these panels and get the window sweep out of there. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this tool. I'm gonna pull back on this piece of plastic here with my fingernails. Oh, it's pretty much just popping off anyway. Well, now let's put it in there. And then I just put it in and twist it like that, and it helps pop it off. Just these 3 clips here. Now we're gonna put our fingers in here and we're gonna roll this back off. And these clips are very aggressively stuck. Let's see. I don't know. These ones are terrible, really. So if you can leave those ones clipped in and just pull this out, we'll see how that goes for putting this back together. I know that I can get the rubber out. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and stick this in here just to pull this panel a little bit away from the glass and give us a little extra space. Now these clips, there's 2 clips here, and they're very aggressively stuck. Like the other side, I did take them out, but I ended up breaking them. So I just had to use some replacement clips, and they're so stuck in there. So we'll see how this goes back together. Otherwise, you do need to pull this panel back, which then it's going to leave the clips in the door, and then you have to use a panel tool in order to pop those out. All right, let's get the key turned on. All right, let's go ahead and get this rolled up now. While it's going up, we're gonna wet it down. I don't know if you could see that. You see these marks right here? The rubbers on this car, even though this car's brand new, leaves stuff on the window, and we gotta make sure to get that cleaned off. So we're gonna go ahead and wet that down so that it starts kind of breaking loose up there. And let's get the rest of these stickers off. Also, this would have been the window that the Monroney sticker would have been on from the dealership, and we need to make sure and get all the adhesive off from that as well. Okay, this one, I'm just gonna continue to hit it like this until it comes off. Okay, let's get the adhesive off. We'd prefer the adhesive stay on the on the razor blade, and then we take it off with our fingers so that it doesn't stay on the glass. This is that we're just gonna throw out. Okay, and I'm just gonna flush the rest of that adhesive that might be on there down. Let's go ahead and get to this one here. Okay, and then I'll take it and flip it over adhesive to adhesive so it doesn't stick to the floor. And then let's go ahead and razor blade this entire window. All right, just making sure, kind of just going over this and then double checking. We really need to make sure that there's no adhesive left on this window. We don't want to start over. If you get adhesive underneath there and it's game over, really. It's never gonna look good, ever. So let's make sure and get this good and clean. Okay, there was some adhesive right there. And I'm going over these areas as well, few times that had that extra buildup from the rubber where it touches the glass. Okay, very good. Wet that back down, and I'm gonna stick a scrubby pad in here and really get that clean back in there and get stuff broken loose. Now we'll take this red tool and we'll take, all right, and then we'll take this tool and we'll go down the sides here, way back in there, tuck it way back in. We want to get all that dirt out of there. That just helps us not have the water go in there and come out this way on the film. I'll kind of explain that as we go along here when we start installing the tint as well. All right, now we'll go ahead and roll this up. And actually first, let's clean this edge like that. A little bit of dirt. All right, let's get this rolled up so we can still see that edge though. We don't want to hide that. Okay, we'll take our squeegee, clean it off. We'll go down on that side, and then starting in the area that was just squeegeed out, we take the rest of these across. Now as I'm going across, my finger is riding on this rubber, and that's what helps keep a nice even edge going across, and I'm not tucking this way too far up in there where it's hitting something and kicking dirt out. That's really important on vehicles that have felt up in there, that are felt. Instead, this is just rubber, but when they're felt and you hit them with the squeegee, you're just kicking dirt out and pieces of felt into your window. Okay, now I flip the squeegee over for the rest of these like this, and then we're just gonna come across. And actually the front panel we'll go ahead and cover. And I didn't do it on this one, but we'll cover the front one. These panels don't mind getting wet at all, so it's not a big deal, but that does bother some people. Okay, and then we'll take this side down. All right, now the glass goes way back in there, so we need to tuck the film way back in there. So what we want to do is take this tool here, we want to wipe it off, make sure it's clean, and then we're gonna put this in, tilt it like this, and we're going to squirt water way back in there, and then we'll go ahead and just mist that down this way. This one's not such a big deal because we can actually see the edge. That one, it's hidden. So you need to get some soapy water back in there so that when you tuck the film in there, it just doesn't automatically stick to the glass. I've got the whole window misted. We did spray down this whole bottom because there's a bunch of window down in there that we can't really get in and clean real good right now with a squeegee. And with the bottom loading, we're gonna be tucking the film into there. So we need that to be good and clean. So you wanna flush that bottom really good. Oh, I forgot to heat shrink these. Womp womp. All right, so by just taking the film and twisting it a little, I was able to put this finger in here. I'll blow some air into this, and then I'll heat this going up a bit. I'm gonna stop about there. We'll push this out, make sure it lays nice and flat. If it doesn't, we'll put some heat on it. Okay, we'll do this the same with the front one here. And this is so light. This is the California legal for the front two doors. And it's actually pretty rare that we install this stuff much anymore. People just, you know, they're not writing tickets for it, so people are just doing whatever they want. And that's that. I mean, we tried not doing it a long time ago, but we tried not tinting illegally. We just stayed legal, but you lose so many customers. Like, we were losing multiple customers a day because we wouldn't tint the front windows darker than legal. All right, but when you get moving, so shut up, Brent, and get moving. All right, we're getting the liner off of here, all the way off for bottom loading. Also called single stage. Okay, take it like this. And what we're gonna do is tuck this bottom in first on this side. Get it in there, and then we'll start to turn it straight onto the window, onto that edge. Sticky down in there somewhere. There we go. Okay, I leave all this excess out here, and we're gonna get this side tucked in. Start pushing it down. And then we'll let this go in without rubbing on the rubber there. Get this nice and flat. Then we're gonna tuck this side in and get rid of all that excess in the middle. And now let's go ahead and get this top edge lined up really well. Okay, that looks really good. Right there. We don't want to be hanging over up there. Just want to be just as close as we can get to it without hanging over. Now for this part, I like to use this black squeegee because it's a little bit more aggressive than the yellow one. You can get some real pressure on it. Let's get rid of some of this air here. Okay. I'm gonna go this way. So I don't know if you noticed, but I'm grabbing here and I'm holding, it's called mounting, I call it mounting the film. So I grab here, I hold the edge of the film as well as the edge of the glass, and I push real hard on it. And this gets everything, helps keep everything stuck in place as I pull away from my finger and squeegee this out. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee this over. Okay, and let's take this the rest of the way. All right, let's get out this white tool here and we'll go up with this. Now, what I was trying to say about all that dirt, so there's a bunch of water over there now and it's running down, and I don't know if you can see that moving around right there, which means there's water migrating downwards. So if you get a bunch of water over here, catch some dirt, it's going to come out and go into these type of areas, which is a disaster because then you get those lines coming out. If you see those lines coming out from the side of dirt once you're done with your installs, you need to really get that clean over there. All right, let's take this up now. So this one goes in, this hand goes in and twists. This is the hand I use to push this up. I'm teaching my son how to tint windows and he's having a tough time with this part, with this tool. All right, so this is the one that goes in, turns it, and then this just pushes up. Nice and tight on that window. You want to be nice and flat and push that out and get all that water out. All right, now that this is all squeegeed out here and the sides are pushed out and we pushed up. For the sides, while the window's down, we push that water up because we don't want to push all that water down and then have it come over here, grab some dirt and come back out. So we push that up. Now we're going to be able to, okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, now the window is up and let's get this pushed in. Sometimes it's hard to get that all tucked in because the rubber sticks out so far while the window is still down. I like to take this tool here, push out the main air and water. I always like to take it real slow when I'm pushing that part down in case it is stuck a little bit. I don't want to just crease it over on itself. All right, so we've already got some moisture on here. Let's take this tool here, and I like to use this back side of it because it's really rigid, and push this all the way down and out. And we're major overlapping here. So this is all squeegeed, this is not. It's about 50% is going over new stuff and 50% is re-pushing down areas that haven't been pushed down yet. Now, new stuff. So 50% is new stuff and 50% is pushing out the areas that we already pushed out. Now hold on to this squeegee good and tight because as it goes down in there, if you lose your grip, that squeegee's gone. Otherwise you're popping the whole panel off to try and get it back. All right, so now with this tool, we're gonna take everything down instead of up. Okay, down, about 3 times usually. And then we'll go across the bottom here a couple times. Go ahead and wipe this panel off. Okay, let's see if we can get this back in now. Will this go in? So I'm putting it in right there, and I'm just gonna cram it in here, and it does, it slides right in. Okay, that's good. Then you don't have to worry about those clips, because seriously, you're gonna break them, and you're gonna need replacements. Okay, so that is basically already on, and then if you can see that there. Now this plastic here, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. Hopefully I get an angle where you can see that. Needs to go over and lip onto this, which is very easy to do. Just give it some pressure and it pops right on. Okay, and then we'll give it a little tap here where there's a couple clips here. Re-dry this down. Let's dry this window off now. And then let's pop this guy back on. So 3 clips, get them lined up and just give it a little bump. Bam. And actually, okay, before you go ahead and put that panel back on, come out and check your window and make sure it's good to go. I was sure it was, so I just do my thing, but you'd want to come out and double check, make sure that everything is good, because obviously we don't want to be re-popping that panel if there's a problem and we have to pull this piece off. Let's say you left some glue, got a hair in there, anything, a problem that's you're not gonna be able to live with. Check that out first. All right, so let's go ahead and get this panel pulled back or rolled back now. So I stick my fingernails in here, give myself a little bit of space to get this tool in, and then just push down in and it'll pop these clips loose. This one is a metal clip. It's pretty stuck in there, but once that comes off, that thing just comes right off. And then we'll go ahead, I'm gonna start right here, rolling this panel back. And nice to have something to push off of. This one I'm gonna push off the window just a little bit, just gently. Okay, so we've got this whole panel pulled back. This one comes off a lot easier than the back one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and take this and I'm gonna stuff it in here to just get that panel just a little bit further back away from the window to give us a little more space. Go ahead and mist this down as it's going up. Okay, and we'll get these stickers off. And then we'll razor blade this whole window. The other thing that you could do with these stickers, oh, it's gone forever. Let's see, that's all stuff on there. It's stuck on the glass. All right, get that glue off. We'll go ahead and razor blade this whole window now. All right, let's roll this down a little bit here. We'll go ahead and razor blade this top edge. Bring it back up a little bit so we can get to this edge. Okay, and the more you stay off of this edge with the blade, and the more that you stay off of this lettering, the less you destroy the blades. I mean, it pretty much ruins them because it dulls them right out. It's just part of it, right? And then you just have to get a new blade. All right, let's get this top edge clean. Yeah, quite a bit of dirt there. And let's go ahead and get back in here so you can see the towel is nice and clean. I mean, you would think there wouldn't be that much in here because this is a very, relatively new car. There's definitely some in there though. Let's get a clean part again. Clean this side. Yeah, you can see picked up a little bit there. So it's a good thing to always be doing. All right, mist it down. Clean off our squeegee. First pass goes down on the side, and all the rest of the passes start on this side and come over. Oh, I didn't cover the panel. Oh well, it's not happening today. We're also not going to be able to do the windshield strip together, so I'm way behind because I'm recording this. This is the only thing I have to do today. I came in on a Saturday for this car. I haven't worked a Saturday in, I don't know. My family's in Disneyland. Brats. I don't really love Disneyland like they do, so I'm here. But I have a lot of stuff to do at home. I got a little list of things I made that I need to do. So I want to get out of here and go do my other stuff. But anyway, let's go ahead and spray this edge down. Okay, so we got plenty of water back in there. And we'll go ahead and mist this down. Make sure that bottom is misted down really good, really flushed out. I'm gonna bring this up just a little bit more so we can see as much of the window as possible. And let's grab our pattern. And actually, let's put you guys outside here. All right, remove the entire liner. Okay, I take my fingernail here and I bump it into the edge of the film, and that pops that up. And then I take my other fingernail and I pinch the film, or just grab it with your finger a little bit. It's better to grab it with your finger and potentially leave a fingerprint than it is to drop it. But some people don't have much for fingernails. All right, so we're getting that side in. We're leaving the excess in the middle here. And this basically goes over, the film does now, and then tilts up like this, the bottom here. And then we're gonna put this side in on the bottom. We're gonna start pushing it down till we can tuck this top in. And then now now that that's nice and flat, we'll start pushing the whole thing over behind that rubber. Okay, just like that. Let's get that up into place. Let's check our top edge. A lot of times with these patterns, if your top edge isn't lining up real good, it means you need to go left or right with the pattern normally. All right, got that tucked in and in place. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my Encore squeegee and we'll go ahead and squeegee this out away from my finger. So again, I've mounted the film. I'm squeegeeing away from my finger. And once you get a couple passes on this, this should be pretty good and stuck, depending on how soapy you are running. I am running, let's see, what am I running? I'm running 35 milliliters of 7th generation dish soap per gallon. A lot of the employees over the years have liked a little bit more soap, so they'll do at least 40. And then I'll even run in the wintertime, I'm usually down to like 30 milliliters of soap per gallon. I like to be a little bit more tacky because once I start squeegeeing that out, I don't want the film to be just sliding around. That's super annoying to me, and it really slows down my process because I've got to continue to hold it in place while I'm pushing these edges out. Otherwise, when I do this, the film just wants to move up. Okay, now we'll go up with this side. And when I'm going over that top there, I'm just going straight up and I'm continuing to push out this way while I'm going up. You don't want to be going up and coming over like this, because then you could bunch the material up on the top and end up creasing that edge. Okay. Let's go ahead, roll this up. So a tiny bit of pressure out, not much. I'm also feeling there when the window's going up, I'm feeling if this goes up and the film catches and pushes down a little, you can normally feel that. That might not make sense, but it's true. Let's push out this bottom. Okay. Take my squeegee here, and we'll go ahead and push this out. You can also just do this with the yellow turbo squeegee or whatever you're using. This one just works really good because I can push it way down in there, or you've got to do a little bit different technique with the yellow squeegee to get the bottom edge really good. Okay, take out the sides all the way down 2 or 3 times, across the bottom 2 or 3 times. You can see when I'm in there, look at that, how bent that is. That's from the pressure from the twisting to make sure that I'm getting all the moisture that I can out of those edges. All right, now let's wipe this panel down. Now when you leave something like this, you want to make sure not to close the door on this, because you're going to end up puncturing or pushing a dent into something, maybe even tearing or cutting. Just be careful of stuff like that. So if you're newer, you want to go ahead and inspect your work. Boop, make sure everything's good to go. Let's go ahead and clean our window now, which I don't usually spend too much time on before I put the sweep in, because it's possible if the sweep gets wet, it's gonna get some moisture on the window. Plus we're gonna be pushing in here. So we're gonna have to re-clean that window usually anyway. See, it's leaving streaks from where I'm running this across it. All right, so let's tuck that bottom in there. So you wanna make sure that these felts are facing the window, and then put that in the channel. Bring that all the way across, and then we go ahead, I'm lifting up a little bit while I'm pushing in. Doesn't take much. Okay, give it some bumps. Oh, there's a clip right here, let's see. Oh, it popped out. Okay, the clip came out of the panel, this little green one. Drop that back into place. Right there. Get this back over the lip. Make sure that's lined up better this time. Pop it in. There we go. Go ahead and put this back in place now. So this needs to go through right here. This goes in there, and then this part clips through that hole. Little bumps. Make sure all the clips are popped back in. And then we'll just go ahead and re-clean this window. At this point, what I would do is go around and clean up all these windows. And I basically would just take this bone stick here and find any little dots and just run over them and push them down. So let's see if we can find any. There is a tiny little line right here. And actually, let me zoom you guys in, and then we're gonna move on. Like I said, I'm running behind now, so I gotta get out of here. I gotta get this customer down here, get this car gone, and go home. But let's go ahead and push down this one little spot together. So I'm not sure if you can see it. There's the tiniest little line right here. And what I'm gonna do is take this tool and run over this line and push it out. And it's just a little white line. Silver, really, it's not white, but and push it out, and then it goes all black, and then that's gone, that's fixed forever. There's a little dot right here. I know we should be cleaning the outside of the windows too to really kind of inspect this. That's a good plan, although I'm not going to do it today because I can see through this and see the dirt fine because I've been doing this for so long. But don't do it like this. This is not a good example. All right, so we've got this bad boy all finished up for this video. I still have to do the windshield strip. And so what else is gonna be left? I'm gonna clean up my windows, and I'm gonna get that mover's blanket out of the trunk. And we're gonna put the seat back up. That's gonna be that. So terrific, I appreciate you guys taking a look at this video. Hopefully you found something helpful in there. Please give the video a thumbs up if you found something helpful. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and we'll see you guys on the next one.